Bills Mafia, we have got an absolutely loaded update for you today, so let's not waste a single second. A star offensive lineman just cashed in with a life-changing contract. A brand new billion-dollar stadium is already causing headaches for the very fans who paid for the privilege of sitting in it. And down in training camp, the wide receiver room, the linebacker room, and the injury report are all shifting in ways that could shape how this Buffalo Bills season plays out. There is a lot to get through, so stick around because the stadium story alone is going to have you shaking your head. Let's kick things off with the good news, because somebody in Buffalo just got very, very rich. Right guard Osiris Torrance has agreed to a 4-year contract extension worth $78.4 million, and that deal includes $46 million fully guaranteed. Let that sink in for a second. $46 million guaranteed for a guard. That instantly makes Torrance the 7th highest paid guard in the entire NFL, and it locks him up in Buffalo all the way through the 2030 season. For a guy who was drafted in the 2nd round back in 2023, that is an enormous leap, and it is a well-earned one. Here's what makes this story even better. Torrance wasn't just quietly waiting around for a phone call, just days before the deal got done. He sat down for an interview and said something that now looks almost prophetic. He said he had a feeling it could get done any day, and that his mentality the entire time was simply staying locked in. Well, it got done, and by all accounts, it got done in a big way. According to reports, when Torrance found out the extension was official, his mother was literally hyperventilating on the other end of the phone. He later said that moment made him feel like he had accomplished something bigger than himself, something that reached far beyond football. He even called it the second best day of his entire career. Now, we don't know what claims the top spot, but when a $78 million payday is your second best day, you know life is going pretty well right now. And look, the money is well deserved. Torrance has been one of the most durable, dependable players in Buffalo's entire offensive front. He played 1,100 snaps last season and was flagged for just a single penalty the entire year while allowing only 3 sacks. When you consider how often Buffalo throws the football and how many total snaps this offense runs, those numbers are outstanding. Sure, some of the traditional grading sites weren't as generous with him, but if you look at advanced metrics like estimated points added, Torrance actually ranks as the 4th best guard in the entire NFL, sitting right there with names like Quentin Nelson and some of the most respected linemen in the league. Josh Allen himself has been singing his praises, saying flat out that Torrance deserved every single penny and that you'd be hard-pressed to find anyone in that locker room with a bad word to say about him. It's also worth pointing out just how quickly the market moved here. Buffalo had been using center Joe Tippmann's extension as a bit of a barometer for what Torrance might eventually get. Tippmann's deal came in somewhere in that $56 to $60 million range. Torrance just blew that number out of the water, reportedly landing around $14 million more in guaranteed money alone. That tells you everything about how the league now views him, and it tells you Buffalo was not interested in losing him for pennies on the dollar. Zoom out for a second and look at what this means for the offensive line as a whole. Buffalo lost David Edwards in free agency, they brought center Connor McGovern back on a strong deal of his own, and now Torrance is locked up for the long haul as well. Spencer Brown and Deion Dawkins remain the bookend tackles, and the only real question mark left on the entire unit is the ongoing battle at left guard between Alec Anderson and Austin Corbett. That competition probably isn't a long-term answer either way, and Buffalo will likely look to address it in next year's draft. But considering this offensive line was one of the best units in the entire NFL last season, locking up a core piece like Torrance is exactly the kind of move that keeps continuity intact. Grade it however you want in the comments, but from where we're sitting, that looks like smart business from General Manager Brandon Beane. Now, from the best off-season news Buffalo has gotten in weeks, we shift gears to something a lot less flattering. and it involves the shiny new stadium that Bills Mafia has been waiting years to step inside. Highmark Stadium officially opened its doors for the return of the blue and red scrimmage, and more than 50,000 fans showed up, setting a new attendance record for the event. On paper, that sounds like a triumph. The concourses reportedly look fantastic, the concession stands are getting praise, and the overall atmosphere by most accounts was electric. But here's the problem. A significant number of season ticket holders got to their actual seats and discovered something they were not expecting: obstructed views of the football field. Photos and videos started circulating almost immediately, showing fans in certain sections, including some up in the higher levels, only able to see a portion of the field. In some of these shots, fans can only see about half of an end zone. Think about that for a second. If a receiver like Keon Coleman goes up and makes an acrobatic grab in the back corner of the end zone, a chunk of the people who paid for season tickets in those sections literally would not be able to see the play happen. And it's not just the general layout of the upper bowl either. Some of the complaints point directly at clear railings and staircases that are cutting straight across sightlines into what should be a clean view of the red zone. Now imagine those clear railings dealing with rain, snow, or condensation during a chilly Buffalo night game. That's not exactly the premium experience fans were promised when they signed up for these seats. To be fair, obstructed views are not some brand new phenomenon exclusive to Buffalo. Almost every new stadium built across the NFL over the past several years has dealt with at least some obstructed sightlines somewhere in the building. But the frustration here seems to run deeper than just a handful of awkward seats. This is happening in multiple sections, and it's happening to fans who paid serious money for personal seat licenses expecting a certain caliber of experience. The backlash actually got loud enough that the Buffalo Bills organization felt the need to release an official statement addressing it. The team thanked Bills Mafia for setting that new attendance record, acknowledged that Saturday's event was a great opportunity to stress test the new building, and said they are currently addressing both internal and external feedback about how the facility operated during that first event. The statement went on to say they plan to use the next 6 weeks to refine details ahead of the official home opener on Thursday, September 17th. That's a promising sign that the organization is taking the complaints seriously, but let's be real. They are not going to be tearing out staircases and redesigning sections of a brand new stadium in 6 weeks. Some fans in the most affected seats may simply be stuck with a less than ideal view for the foreseeable future. And here's where it gets even messier. A lot of the anger isn't just about the obstructed views themselves, it's about how those seats were sold in the first place. Multiple fans have claimed that when they were working with season ticket sales representatives, they were shown renderings and mock-ups of what their view would supposedly look like from specific sections. Once they actually sat down in those seats for the first time this past weekend, the reality did not match what they had been promised. That is the kind of thing that turns a stadium seating complaint into a genuine trust issue between the organization and the fan base that is stuck by this team through thick and thin. So if you're one of the 50,000 people who were in the building for that scrimmage, we want to know, how did your seat actually look? Drop a comment down below and let us know if your view was clean or if you got stuck staring at a railing all night. All right, let's pivot away from money and stadium drama and get into the actual football, because there is plenty happening down at training camp that Bills Mafia needs to know about. Starting with the wide receiver room, the picture is becoming a whole lot clearer. It looks like the top 4 spots on the depth chart are essentially locked in. DJ Moore, Josh Palmer, Khalil Shakir, and Keon Coleman appear to be your starting group heading into the regular season. Moore and Shakir figure to see the most snaps overall, with reports from camp indicating Moore is being deployed on both deep routes and intermediate breaking routes, which allows him to work multiple levels of the field and use his elite separation skills, something this Buffalo passing attack has been missing. Keon Coleman, meanwhile, is carving out a role as a red zone specialist. He's reportedly made a number of highlight plays inside the 20, including some strong reps against cornerback Deshaun Alford and he's been giving second-year corner Maxwell Hairston fits throughout camp. One name that appears to be sliding down the pecking order is receiver Race Bell, who reports indicate is clearly behind both Josh Palmer and Keon Coleman at this point, and could even be trailing names like McCole Hardman further down the depth chart. Meanwhile, receivers like Dante Pettis and Jalen Mullen have reportedly stood out during camp, with Mullen turning heads even while working through an injury. Trent Sherfield rounds out the group as more of a special teams and blocking specialist, so while the top four appears set, the battle for those final one or two roster spots at receiver is still very much alive. Over on defense, there's a real quarterback controversy brewing at the second linebacker spot next to Terrell Bernard. Fourth-round rookie Caleb Alarmzur out of TCU has been steadily climbing the depth chart and getting more reps with the first-team defense. And it's not hard to see why. In one standout rep against running back James Cook in coverage down the field, Alarmzur reportedly stayed step for step the entire way and timed his hands perfectly to bat the ball away on what looked like a 35 to 40-yard target. That is not a small accomplishment against a back with James Cook's speed and route running ability. Alarmzur has also been credited with setting a physical tone in practice, including a hard hit that reportedly drew attention from right tackle Spencer Brown. Meanwhile, incumbent starter Dorian Williams has reportedly been a bit banged up and hasn't shown the same level of athleticism or production in coverage this camp. Don't be surprised if Buffalo hands that starting job to the rookie based on pure performance alone. Finally, let's run through where things stand on the injury front, because the list has been growing. Running back Ty Johnson, receivers Skylar Bell and Jalen Mullen, and center Connor McGovern have all missed time recently. Cornerback Maxwell Hairston has been one of the more significant absences, though he does appear to be ramping back up, working through individual drills on the side without yet returning to full team reps. Safety Cole Bishop is another name to watch closely considering how important he is to the back end of this defense. And safety C.J. Gardner-Johnson has reportedly re-aggravated a lower leg injury, which is a real concern given his track record and importance to this secondary. On the brighter side, safety Zane Durant has returned to practice after missing recent sessions, which counts as a positive development amid an otherwise crowded injury report. So there you have it, Bills Mafia. A franchise guard just secured his financial future with a massive extension. Thousands of season ticket holders are demanding answers about their views inside the brand new Highmark Stadium. And down on the practice fields, the wide receiver rotation, the linebacker competition, and the injury report are all shaping up in ways that will directly impact how this team looks come week 1. Now it's your turn. Grade the Torrance extension in the comments, A, B, C, D, or F. We want to see your take. And if you're a season ticket holder, tell us honestly, how does your view from Highmark Stadium actually look? Make sure you like this video, drop a comment with your thoughts, and subscribe to the channel so you never miss a single update from Buffalo Bills training camp this preseason. We'll be back very soon with more. Until then, Bills Mafia, let's go Buffalo.